How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Guys, what night is it? It's Tuesday night. It's our favorite night of the week, and we are live here at Sodi Cigar and Pipe in Oak Park Heights, Minnesota. We want to welcome you to episode number 49 of How About That Cigar Live. As always, the traveling Drew Estate Cigar Studios here at Sodi's. We are brought to you by Drew Estate, and they want to announce that the Pappy Van Winkle tradition will now be sold exclusively through Pappy & Company at www.pappyco.com. Drew Estate is honored to represent the Van Winkle family with an ultra-premium cigar that reinforces the legacy of a living American icon, Julian Van Winkle. The Pappy Van Winkle tradition features an Ecuadorian Habano Oscuro wrapper, Indonesian binder, and aged fillers from Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic. Jonathan Drew, founder and president of Drew Estate, adds, "We are thrilled to be providing the daughters of Julian Van Winkle, owners of PappyCo.com, with an exclusive cigar that is deeply aligned with the core of their culture and tradition and that matches the legacy of their brand. The Pappy Van Winkle tradition is available in a 5.5 by 54 and a 6.5 or 6 by 50. Find them now exclusively at PappyCo.com." So, Garrett, this has been a crazy week around here.
Dude.
Family stuff, work stuff, schedules like crazy.
It really
I know
has.
you've been the same.
It has been a extremely busy last week.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for this next week.
You know what I'm excited for? I'm excited that in 15 days, the Twins start the baseball season. Minnesota Twins start 15 days away. We have to wait, though, another 7 days before the home opener.
Yeah.
So we have to play our first 7 games on the road on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And we don't start playing here until April 2nd.
Yeah, but I'm still so excited.
I know.
Just to continue to hear all of the announcers say, the team I don't want to face this year is the Twins.
Yeah. I'm just hopeful that we turn it into more than, a home run record's great.
Yeah.
But let's get us a World Series.
Yep.
And the Minnesota Wild. So since last week's show, the Wild won 3 out of 4. We're playing right now. I haven't checked on we're not playing tonight. I thought we were playing tonight. So, no. But we won 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
We are now 8 games over 500. Yeah. And we moved up a spot in the standings.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah, Kevin Fiala. Things are just, I don't know. I don't want to jinx it, but things are moving in the right direction with the Wild. It's good to see.
And we had the Minnesota high school hockey tournament.
Yep.
And if you're a fan or not of it, it's like if you're a big high school football fan in the South.
Yeah,
that's what high school hockey is to us up here in the frozen tundra.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like football in Texas.
Yeah,
it's just people, take time off work just to go and sit somewhere and watch the Minnesota high school hockey tournament. I watch it. I don't have any kids who play hockey. I don't have any vested interest in it. It's just fun to sit down and watch those young students get out there and
play hard
fight it out. It's a lot of fun to watch.
It is.
I found myself. I was watching. It was Matamidi playing.
Oh my gosh!
Oh shoot! Of course, I don't remember.
Hermantown. Yeah.
And when the game got tied up,
oh my gosh!
I found myself sitting on the couch going like this.
I did too.
I don't even know anybody involved with either of those teams.
I didn't have a vested interest.
It was just a semifinal game.
That night, there were more people attending high school semifinals than any NHL game.
Yeah. So Andrew says that night there were more people attending high school hockey semifinal than any NHL game. That shows how important hockey is to people in this state. So
yeah,
it's a lot of fun. We hope to keep watching it. So guys, we want to bring in our special guest this evening. And as always, the special guest segment is brought to you by Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com. They are the internet's largest and easiest to use virtual cigar store. Corona Cigar Company offers you the finest handmade cigars, humidors, and cigar accessories at the absolute lowest possible price. You will also find unique and limited cigars containing Florida sun-grown tobacco. As a proud American, president and founder of Corona Cigar Company, Mr. Jeff Borshowitz, believed it was possible to bring cigar tobacco farming back to Florida. At coronacigar.com and Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, You'll find the best selection anywhere in the world of cigars containing this special Florida sun-grown tobacco. For more info on all of that, please visit coronacigar.com and floridasungrown.com. And ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our special guest this evening from LFD Cigars, John Carney. Welcome to the show. John, how's it going?
Gentlemen, it's going fantastic.
Beautiful.
I am in Oklahoma City, which was one unique because we were all in the same time zone, so I didn't have to guess the central time thing that you all do, being an East Coast guy. And you can't see the setting because it's a little dark, but I'm in this little garden area. It's got a little fountains outside, and hopefully the music in the background is not too loud. There's a little bit of music, but it's a beautiful night out here. And I said the time zone was great. And coincidentally, I was also just at Corona all last week. I was on vacation in Orlando, and
cool.
I definitely partook in the ultimate cigar experience.
Yeah, and Andrew, who's sitting just off camera here, writes, we do cigar destination articles about cigar shops all over the country, or all over the world for that matter, that are interesting to go to when you're traveling. And Andrew travels a lot, and so he's good enough to write some of those articles for us. And he wrote one actually a while ago about the Corona location in Orlando that I still have not gotten around to publishing on the website, but that will be coming soon. That article, and it's a place that I really hope to get to someday.
There's great shops all over the country, the world as well. I essentially grew up in my adult life in Orlando. That's where I went to college and grad school, and I lived there for like 10 years. So I started smoking cigars at Corona.
Yeah.
So for me,
Cool.
It's this is a cliche because it's Orlando, but it really is the Disney World of cigars.
Yeah.
So it's I highly recommend it. If you're a cigar smoker and you have the opportunity and you're there, take the trip. If you're with your family and your wife gets ticked off at you, just cash it in and charge it to the game, and go and check it out. Let her be mad, because you'll be happy and it's worth the exchange.
So, John, you were really, really generous to send us these LFD 25th anniversary sticks that Garrett and I are firing up right now. Would you take just a minute and give our viewers and listeners an idea about this cigar?
So 2019 was our 25th anniversary. The 25th anniversary cigar came out in the later parts of 2019 and is still continuously hitting our retail shops. It's a true limited edition product, but it was kind of a culmination of where Lito and Inez started the company back in the early 90s and where we've come full circle. We started as a very mild cigar making company, and we've now obviously become known almost exclusively for full-bodied. And the 25th anniversary cigar pays homage and to our Andalusian Bull, which was the Starfish Now 2016 Cigar of the Year. It utilizes the similar binder tobaccos, similar filler tobaccos, and it utilizes the exact same wrapper, just a different priming of the Ecuador Corojo, which was on our Andalusian Bull, which has been our cigar that has the most accolades, and really something that's, if anyone that's listening that smokes the Andalusian Bull, one, they're going to know it's very difficult to get, but that cigar has become a beast of its own. So the 25th anniversary pays homage to all 25 years, but the Andalusian Bull blend with a more medium-bodied offering from our brand, not like not as strong as our Double Arrow, but also not as mild as our Suave or our premium line, which is what it was called in the early 90s. So this is kind of a middle ground. So it's kind of a blend of everything that we've done for the last 25 years and the Gomez family's done. So a more medium-bodied offering based off something that received a lot of accolades and uses a lot of unique aged tobaccos. And it was also the first cigar with the Andalusian Bull that we used Corojo as a wrapper leaf on it. So this was the second with the 25th anniversary. So it was a really celebratory cigar. And when it came to sitting on what we were going to do for the 25th anniversary, it was I think the right decision to do something down the middle in terms of strength and body that brought a little bit of both sides of where we started and where we're at now to the table.
Awesome. And John, could you tell us a little bit about your history with LFD and how that came to be?
Well, I wish I remembered most of it. No, I'm just kidding. So I grew up if anyone follows me on social media, a lot of my posts are either 1, cigars, travel, or 3, food. So I post a lot of food, and I grew up in the restaurant business, and my professional goals were I wanted to be the chief executive officer of Walt Disney World or something hospitality related, and that didn't come to fruition, which was fine because I found the cigar industry. And as I said, when I lived in Orlando and I started smoking cigars at Corona Cigar, I found something that was really unique, really special, and something that was different from what I'd done in the past. I found in cigars everything that I liked about the restaurant industry, the cigar industry had: the camaraderie with your teams, the camaraderie with your retailers, your consumers, but it didn't have all the bad stuff, like people complaining that the soup wasn't hot enough or the coffee wasn't the right temperature or this and that. Now, there's obviously challenges in the cigar market too, on a daily basis. But when I found cigars, it was truly something that I felt like I kind of trained for, with the things that I did through growing up in the restaurant business, working in the restaurant industry, the hospitality business, when I was in college and after college. So I was a restaurant manager for Darden Restaurants. I opened new restaurants for Olive Garden for about 3 years. And I was a big cigar smoker when I was in college. One of my good friends, Jeremy, got me into that my freshman year back in 2003. But all this was based around Orlando. So I worked in Orlando, opened new restaurants, hired staff, did interviews. And it was during the housing crisis when I was doing that. It was like 2008 and 9. So, I mean, I was interviewing, I was 24, 25 years old, interviewing people with doctorates and master's degrees that were looking for server positions because the housing market was taking everybody's net worth. And it was a really challenging time. So Orlando for me during that was cigars were kind of my escape and what my hobby became. And it was easy with a, as I said, with the Disney World of cigars hanging around, I was easy to experience a lot of different cigars, a lot of different blends, meat makers. And I created a good friendship when I was in grad school with Lito's son, Tony, who was the blender of Chapter 1, Chapter 2, the Lennox that I'm smoking now. He worked with his dad on the Andalusian Bowl in the 25th anniversary. And he's the vice president at our factory down in the Dominican Republic. So I created a good relationship with him through a cigar shop that I use the word work at very loosely because I got paid in cigars and beer and sangria.
Nice.
But yeah, I worked at the shop when I was in grad school and spent some time there and jumped around and became part of the cigar culture in Orlando, and hit off a really good relationship with Tony. And when I was in grad school, I was kind of hiding. I was going to grad school because I wanted to justify the time off when the economy took a dive. There were some challenges I came up. I actually got fired. I'll tell you this. I'm not ashamed. I actually got fired. I was dating my hostess, and there was some circumstances that happened with that caused some jealousy, I guess, and whatever the situation was. But the big companies didn't enjoy the nepotism, I guess. So I went back to grad school because in my mind, I'm like, I got to justify why I got fired from one of the leading restaurant companies in the world, with all the successes that my opening teams have had and the managers that I worked with and the teams that I built with that. I got to justify this. So I went back to grad school, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I was doing finance, and it was super beneficial. But the relationship I had with Tony led into me getting hired as a sales rep back in the Northeast. I did New England and New York. I'm from Maine originally. So I worked with them as a sales rep for a few years, and I thought it was just a cool job. It was great, and it was something to put some money back in the pocket. And if it hadn't worked out, it was essentially a move back to where my family was at. So I kind of had my safety net. And then, almost 9 years now later, 6.5, 7 years ago, I was promoted into the vice president of sales role, which now that I'm doing, and I said in June I will begin my 10th year with the company. So it was a cool job, and it was fun. It was a hobby. I mean, the shop I worked at, we were kind of like frat house, but I was always trying to keep some relationships and. I tell people they're like, oh, you're very fortunate you were able to do this. I mean, I got promoted into my role when I was in my late 20s. I was 28 years old. I was one of the younger people in the industry at the time, and I didn't necessarily have any idea what I'm doing. Maybe I don't have any idea what I'm doing now, but I guess I pretend a little bit better. But it was just people say, oh, you're so fortunate. I can't believe this and that. It's like I just made sure the big thing for me was when opportunity knocked and the door opened, I made sure I was able to walk through it. And the things that I've learned along the way made it when I walked through the door to be able to try to be as successful as I could. And so that's kind of that's a brief synopsis of kind of how it went down. Within this time frame, I'm telling you, getting into it and the history of landing, and there's some crazy stories which would take hours upon hours and many, many cigars, and it's probably not for public consumption.
That'll be the after show, the after dark. But so like you said earlier, LFD, at least for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, that's really been known as, when there's a lot of cigar smokers that I know that when you say LFD, they say, oh man, those are really strong cigars. And the fact is that's true. There's a lot of LFDs that are really powerhouse cigars. There's Lido is no stranger to Lajero. And but the fact is there's really a broad spectrum in the portfolio for LFD. So where do you when you're talking to consumers and you're talking to your retail partners for their store shelves, what do you what's kind of the starting point for you working on getting people to choose the right blend from your portfolio?
That's a great question. It's very easy. We're also a very small company. In regards to imports in the United States, we're probably 1% to 2%, maybe 3% at the highest, in regards to exports from the Dominican Republic into the U.S. So that makes us relatively large. And if I were to tell numbers and get crazy with it, but we're a relatively small manufacturer. I describe what Lido and Inez have created a traditional cigar manufacturer as when we're vertically integrated from the seed to the cigar, everything's in house. But it's a traditional cigar manufacturer in kind of the boutique spirit, because we only make what we can make and we don't overproduce. But with that comes a unique thing called, when you just talk about the business side of it, supply and demand.
Yeah.
So since we grow our own tobacco, we only make cigars for ourselves. If you enjoy the flavor profile of, say, a double Ligero, that's the only place you're going to get it. If you're a double Ligero 700 smoker or a Digger smoker, there's really nothing to replace it. There may be other cigars that you enjoy, but if that's your go-to, that's what it is. So it's very easy for our retailers just to be like, I want 700s, Diggers, Chisels, Andalusian Bulls, of course, and then I want these 5 limited. They can go down about 10 or 15 SKUs that are just really easy to put on the shelf. Now, the challenge with that is, and this is what, to answer your question, what we work on and what my team works on is, if you have those SKUs, that's great, and we need to have those. Those are our top items. Those are what we're known for. But we only make so many. So there's other offerings that we have that can hit other palates, that can fill voids other places. So we work on having our core items with our retailers, and we also work on having secondary items. There may be a size in our Reserva Special line or 3 or 4 sizes that work in one place and maybe doesn't work somewhere else. And the questions that we'll ask, we ask about competitors. Not that I think competition is pretty friendly in this industry, but I ask about competitors for a couple different reasons. I'll ask what sells best for you in Robusto sizes, because I also want to help the retailer make a good decision. So say they're selling their number one selling Robusto size is a Davidoff Special R. It's like $25. It would not be good for me to go to that retailer and say, hey, it'd be great if you brought in this $10 Reserva Special Robusto. That's not a smart decision for them. Now, if that was for them to replace that, saying, oh, this is what we sell Robustos, it'd be great. They could get this for $10. I'm not trying to take money in anybody's pocket. You got to find products that fit and fit in the way the business is operating. They may be big Lancero store. There's some stores that don't do great with Lanceros. So you got to identify what the customer base is, and a lot of that is asking about what's going on with competitors and what they're selling. And part of that reason too is there's sometimes I'll say no on a cigar that somebody wants to bring in. I say, well, that's gonna infringe on something you're already selling. That's a great product that you may fetch a little bit more money on. Now, if you're going to replace something that's maybe a little bit lower in price point or lower in quality to get them into something a little bit higher end, or something that's that has a more unique background, like we are, like a vertically integrated brand. That's a different case, but I would never do that. I would never put a cigar on the shelf to compete with one of our competitors in the industry if it was at the damage of our retailer. So, a unique story I have with that. It's a pretty quick one. I went to a shop one time. I can't remember what it was, but I'll say a couple brands. I'm real close with I have a good relationship with Christian Aroa, but specifically his business partner Tom Lazuka with Asylum Cigars. He and I have a good friendship. I went to a store one time and they brought in another brand that was 7x70s, and they were like $2 less than the Asylums. And you can guess maybe what the brand is, or it was anything. But it was $2 less, and it was essentially a similar style of cigar, and it was made to compete with that. And I was talking with the retailer, and I go, how have your Asylum sales done? They're like, oh, they've slowed down quite a bit. We brought in this new brand, and it's $2 less expensive. And people are really liking it. And I said, yeah, you did your consumer and your customer a favor by bringing something lower end. But I go, but at the same time, you cut off your nose to spite your face, because you're now selling a cigar that's $2 less every single time.
Yeah.
So it was, they replaced that. So, there's definitely, this is still a business. So we work with retailers to make sure that the products are in the right place for the right reasons that benefit them and benefit the consumer.
Yeah.
And us at the same time, I try to make sure there's three parts of this. It's consumer, retailer, and manufacturer. There's got to be a way for everybody to win, and it's important for us to try to identify that.
Yeah. And if you're at an event, or if you're even not at an event, just at one of your retail partners, talking them through the portfolio, if let's say there's a consumer at an event who says, I'm a big fan of really mild yet super flavorful Connecticut shade wrap cigars, give our viewers an idea of something from LFD that's going to fit their palate.
So we had a cigar that was created. It was the first brand that Lido in '94. It was called the Premium line. It was a Connecticut shade wrapper. It was essentially a thin Churchill. It was called the Alcalde. But we still make that line. It's called Suave. But generally, I'll find we're not known for Connecticut, and it's in very few of our retailers. We also don't make a lot of it. We do actively make it. And I'd say there's a handful of retailers that do quite well with it. And it's some people that maybe have been smoking LFD, for generations, for a decade or so. But generally, I think most of the smokers that I run into in the say events, or just even the day-to-day, that want something a little milder, essentially what they're saying is they don't want to get their butt kicked. Because we're in a world where the niche market, which is in the cigar stores or in the cigar lounges, that niche market does have a lot of ball busters. It has a lot of cigars that are really strong front forward flavors in the front of your palate, strong finishes. You're going to feel it when you stand up. So I think in those circumstances, most of the people you're running into just are trying to explain that they don't want something that's going to kill them, or make them feel dizzy. So I tend to go towards a more medium-bodied offering, because there's not a lot of really full-flavored, mild Connecticut shade cigars out there.
Right.
I feel like our line has good flavor. Would I say it would meet the description you're saying? I want something that's got rich, good flavor, without a full-bodied. I would say that our mild cigar has good flavor, but most mild cigars either have good flavor or just none.
Yeah.
The real mild stuff. So I find mostly in the shops that people are just trying not to get their butts kicked, so they just go a little milder when they describe it. So I tend to position them into more medium-bodied offerings. Our Reserva Special line, our Airbender line's a little bit fuller-bodied, so I'd kind of ask maybe what they smoke, what other brands and other things they've enjoyed, how mild they want to. Well, at the end of the day, once I ask what they smoke, if they something milder and we have that offering in the store, I will recommend our Connecticut shade. And we also have a lot of fuller-bodied smokers that still smoke milder Connecticut shades every once in a while as well. So it's surprising to me at sometimes where certain cigars fit. Somebody says, "Oh, I don't smoke anything full-bodied," and then you give them something a little more mild, and like, I want something a little stronger. They're just not looking to get their butt kicked. So it's important to ask a lot of questions. And
yeah.
I smoke a lot of other cigars too, so I can ask the right questions, and my team does the same thing, so we're educated.
So there's a question, a viewer question from Jim, and I would put it up on the screen, but it's a very long question. I think it would cover the whole screen, so I'll shoot it out here. He says,
sounds like my answers.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Jim says he was introduced to LFD with the Maduro No. 5, and it quickly became his favorite. And they're hard to find. Any plans to make them more available?
So the Maduro cabinet No. 5 is uncellophaned, unbanded. It's got a really rustic-looking wrapper, super dark. It's a Maduro and an Oscuro all in one. And it comes in 50-count cabinets, so it's a real traditional packaging. And it's kind of taken on kind of a cult following where people know exactly what it is. They call them the No. 5s. We do make a good amount of them. We made more last year than we ever made. It is truly intended to be a limited production item, so we make as much as we can based off of the materials that we have. And fortunately, we just completed over the last 3 years a big expansion of our production facilities. So we have more materials, and we have more larger ability and capacity to make more of it. So you will see more. But as I said, we're relatively small, so you may see them gone again for a short period of time. But hopefully, there's less gaps in between that we can kind of service you better with that. But it's always been Lito and Inez's philosophy that we don't want to sacrifice quality. As the one time that we make something that's lousy, Jim would never smoke that No. 5 again if we didn't give him that same experience every time. So we take it very seriously, and we are very careful to ensure that it's the same every time. But yes, we are making more to answer that question, and you will see a little bit more availability of it, but it will never be rushed.
All right, now another very serious question. Being that you're from Maine, where's the best lobster outside of New England?
Nova Scotia.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
it's the same lobster. It's just the lobster swam in a different area, like New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. The Canadian lobster is the best lobster. They're next to Maine lobster. They're like cousins and uncles. It's the same thing. Like I sound like I'm from New Brunswick. Most, if you listen, I probably sound New England to you guys because you got stronger Canadian accents than I got. But yeah, it's Canada's the second best country in the world. So USA, New England's got it. So New England's best lobsters. The Canadian cold water lobsters are the best. After that, number 2.
I've never had it.
I don't get into this rock lobster thing. Rock lobster is like these huge, like these warm water lobsters are massive, and it's kind of like the textures of those lobsters thicker because it's just more muscle. What I like about cold water lobsters, specifically Maine ones, but pretty much all of New England and that whole Bay Area, once you go up to New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, things like that, Prince Edward Island. The cold water lobsters, since it's cold, they don't get as big. And when they're not as big, it's sweeter and it's a more focused flavor profile. It's really like tobacco, too. Like the leaves on the top of the smaller have the most flavor, right? So these smaller lobsters that are in these colder environments just naturally have a sweetness and a flavor that these other ones don't have. Now, I like rock lobster. I like big stuff. I do like warm water lobster, but it's just not the same flavor profile.
Now, how long does it take you when you go back to that area and you spend some time there? How long does it take you before the accent just goes full tilt? When you lobster and pack the car, how long does that take?
So I'm from northern Maine. So I live about an hour. I still spend half the year up there. I live about an hour and 10 minutes south of New Brunswick. And I'm about.
You said about.
I would say I'm about. There you go. You heard it.
I did.
I'm about. That was completely accidental. That's why I tell people, like, oh, you got this New England accent. I'm like, listen long enough. I go, you will know that it's not New England. I live like 4 or 5 hours from Boston. However, I have some friends from Rhode Island. When I go to Maine, I sound pretty much like I sound now. If I go to like Rhode Island or whatever, and we're hanging out, it does not take more than about 5 minutes until what little New England I have comes out.
Before the Ben Affleck.
The Maine accent's very different. It's a down eastern accent. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not wicked hot. It's this is wicked. It's just weird. It's really hard to explain, and I don't do it very well. So I have more influence when I go to Boston or Rhode Island, but it doesn't take long. I'll tell you. It took me all of whatever you asked me a question to say about.
Well, we
Oh, fun.
throw in the Minnesota accent's hard to hide. And I wasn't even born and raised here, but it's living here as long as I have. You know, the Minnesota accent's hard to find. You know, I start saying
Ooh.
those really heavy, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you know, stuff.
Well, you already said so
You
there you
know.
go. Yeah.
I say you know a lot. I went back because I had to edit a couple old podcasts, and I went back and listened. I say you know a lot. I got to work on that.
Well, I say y'all.
You say y'all?
Yeah. Well, I've lived in Florida for like 15 years.
Yeah.
There's people that down there that say y'all. I get upstate New York all the time, but I'll say y'all, so it kind of confuses people a little. But I don't say y'all with a southern accent by any means. But it's something that people say. Hey, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
So it's kind of I got a weird combination of stuff, and it takes unique areas. It takes people from Minnesota, upstate New York, Michigan, Wisconsin. Whenever I'm in those areas, people peg me like, you're not from here, but you're from somewhere up north.
Yeah.
And it's not New York. So then they slowly can pick it out. But it takes unique areas to pick out how I actually sound.
Yeah. So going back to what you were talking about as far as, you know, you make the products when the materials are available. And I've talked to some other people, you know, manufacturers and brand owners alike about kind of that same thing, where there are some companies that, you know, they have certain orders that they want to fill, and they will maybe cut a few corners to fill those orders, even though it's not necessarily up to the, you know, a certain level of quality standard. And that's sort of a market approach. And then the product approach, like you talked about, that LFD does, that Lido wants to stick with, is sometimes you're going to have to ask your customers to be patient, because if the cigars are going to be ready when we have exactly the right quality of raw materials to roll those cigars the way that we expect them to be. And so there's, you know, there, like Andrew just last week, he sent me a text. He was traveling, and he sent me a text, and he said, you want me to pick you up an Andalusian bull? Because they're not super easy to come by. And he said, you want me to pick one up? And of course, like a jerk, I saw the text and I said, okay, I got to respond to this text. But then I got busy with other stuff. And it wasn't until like 2 hours later I responded. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see this. And he's like, well, too late now. And so,
yeah.
But how do you you know, put your customers at ease? How do you deal with that delicate balance with your retail partners of saying, you know, thank you for being patient. The product's coming when it's ready. We're going to take care of you. You know, how do you deal with that?
The key thing you said is it's our true retail partners understand it, and they understand that we're doing it for the right reasons. Now it's challenging at the same time, and even if they do understand, because there's an opportunity where you have this crazy demand, right? So I mean, we could probably make 1 million Andalusian bulls and sell them all, but then how do I sell 1 million next year? No, maybe we sell 1 million 2 years in a row. Then year 3 you sell 700,000, and then year 4 200,000, and then year 3, 3 years after that you're selling none. You know, which you can see in the cigar industry a lot. There's brands that just don't exist anymore within other people's portfolios. Things come and go. So it's a matter of working with the retailer and helping them understand the vision that Lido and Inez have, and why it works that way, and then also how it fits in with their model. You know, we are growing, so we've grown every year for 26 years now. Now it's been small, but it's always been growth, and it's truly about the partnership, is what it is. It's a matter of working with the retailers, and there's some people, and I respect that. There's some retailers that it doesn't work for them. It's not because we're crazy and nuts. It's because we really want to make a nice product. And I'm not saying they don't want to do that as well, but we're 98% of our products are brick and mortar. You know, we're big brick and mortar business. We've been built with that, and we're doing things that that are really beneficial to the brick and mortar, and not rushing a product out is huge. But it's working with our partnerships, and it's about creating a partnership. I'm visiting a shop tomorrow here in Oklahoma City that we have a great relationship with as a company and personally. And a few years back when we were expanding quite a bit and the demand kind of fell off the rails a little bit, it went much higher than what we were able to even consider producing. The retailer said to me, he's like, I can't even put this stuff on the shelf. He's like, I can't build the shelf space, this and that. He goes, this is nuts. I can't that. I said, by the way, I respect that. And I go, I want you to sell cigars when people walk in the door. If you don't have mine, I understand that you're gonna have to sell them something else. I go, all I ask is one, that you keep selling the product. And he's like, well, I'm always going to sell the product. It's great. I go, but when we do catch up to the point in your store, because we're doing X, Y, and Z to make sure that we're able to service your store better, that you give us the opportunity to get it back because you do respect that quality. And honestly, we ended up growing in those stores anyway. It was just not, 100%, 200%, which isn't realistic numbers. This industry doesn't grow 100%. So if you're growing in these stores saying, oh man, we're up 30, 40% in this retail store, that's not a growth model in this industry that's successful long-term, because it's not realistic. This industry hasn't grown like that forever. It grows maybe 0.5%, 1% a year. You see imports go up. So if you're growing exponentially like that, that's a really dangerous spot to be in on a long-term basis. Now, some companies and some brands or some products within these companies or brands are positioned to be short-term projects. But really what we've created, and Lito's vision from the beginning and his wife Inez's vision has been creating something for the next generation of their family. The company's not for sale. The next generation's already involved with Tony. Lito Jr. is now in college, and he's been involved in the company since a young age and got a lot of passion for it. So the family's involved, and this was meant to create a lifestyle for them and create a lifestyle and a product that our retailers could sell and have a similar type of situation in their retail level on a store-by-store basis. So it's been very special to see that, but you just got to work with the retailers. And some people think we're nuts and think we're crazy and that we're idiots, and that's fine. I respect that. It just doesn't fit with their model, and everybody has a different model, and I totally respect that.
Yeah. Travis has a good question here. I'm going to put up on screen. He wants to know, is it possible to make the bull in a Robusto size to increase availability? And that's actually something that I've wondered, for a while, is it even possible? I mean, I know it's possible, but is it ever something that's been discussed as far as possibly putting that blend into a different size or two?
Well, first of all, you're smoking the almost an exact version of that blend in the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
It's still a big size, and obviously it uses a higher priming wrapper, so it's not exactly the same, but it's very, very close. There's been talks about it. There's been some made for some charity auctions that we've done in the Dominican Republic at Pro Cigar Festival. We also do an event every year in Washington, D.C. in partnership with W. Curtis Drapers called the Little Puff. Yeah, Little Puff. I was just there. I screwed it up. Called the Little Puff. I must be Joe Biden or something. Like screwing things up, not saying the right things. It's Mini Tuesday.
No, you'd have to say it way more wrong than that.
Yeah, to swear you until you're an idiot, right? Something like that. So we did some smaller sizes for that. Now we're in a unique situation with a couple things going on. So one, we have looked at that. We've made test blends, and there's different sizes that could be made of the Andalusian Bowl. Obviously, we could try to make it similar. Now, the different sizes will all smoke different, so it's not going to be the same smoking experience. And the bowl is a very different size and shape than really anything else we make.
Yeah.
So that's part of the lore behind it, and part of the excitement, and part of what makes it a great cigar. So if we put in a Robusto size, will it have a lot of excitement behind it? Yeah, it would have a lot. That brand Andalusian Bowl is its own beast. Then but the other thing that we run into is the FDA. So right now, it's really up in the air what's going on with substantial equivalency and what's going on with grandfathered products. Now, that product came out after 2007, so it wouldn't be a grandfathered product, and it would have to be something that was, if all the regulations go through, with substantial equivalency. It's something that would have to be submitted for either substantial equivalency or submitted as a new product, which doesn't mean it would go away. But in the current state, we look at if there's 5 or 6 different sizes of this, one that takes away from the actual size that was created all this excitement to begin with, and then 2, if it was something that we had to keep now all of these sizes, the financial side of it and the financial investment to maintain and build something like that might be impossible.
Yeah.
So it's on hold for those types of things. We've thrown around some ideas on it. There are some different sizes that are that are kicking around because of some charity type things. Tony has a special size that's it's essentially a small. It's a little bit thinner than a Corona, but it's about a 5 3/4 by like 40 that he makes for himself and our factory tours. But that's not something that we can market right now because technically technically it would be a new product. But right now we're focused on just that cigar. And there's a lot of people that haven't had a chance to smoke the Andalusian Bull.
Right.
I don't know how many of you guys. I've smoked 7 total in 4 years. 7.
I've smoked 3.
3, yeah.
So
I'm at 2.
2, yeah. So there's a lot of people that haven't had a chance to smoke it because of just the nature of it. And we actually tripled production of it.
oh wow.
So it's triple the amount that we ever made in the last 2 years. That happened about a year and a half after the Cigar of the Year hit with Cigar Aficionado.
So if you had to choose one desert island cigar, regular production blend from LFD, that you're stranded and you can only have 50 boxes of this one LFD cigar, what would it be?
That's super tough. So you're saying regular production. So
Yeah, that
I'm really partial.
I intentionally said regular production.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I'm gonna go back to where it all started for me. I'm a huge fan of our Cameroon line, the Cameroon cabinet.
Yeah.
That was the blend that really got me excited about LFD when I started smoking. The small batch 3 was one of the first, and I really love the LG line. So if I could pick something other than just regular production, I would pick probably the LG line. I really enjoy that. I think it's a super full flavored. It is full body, but it doesn't beat you down. It's not a nicotine bomb. It's refined full bodied. But the Cameroon cabinet for me is phenomenal. I love Cameroon tobacco. Whenever I smoke any Cameroon from any brand, I really tend to enjoy it. It's versatile. Lido uses a higher priming Cameroon wrapper, so it's a little bit more thickness to the wrapper, so it stands up a little more. The flavor on that's fantastic. So yeah, if I could only smoke one cigar, I jump around. I don't smoke a lot of the Cameroons anymore because I do smoke a lot of other things. But that's what got me going, and I'd take 50 boxes of the Cameroon cabinet with me.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, a few months ago there was a big buzz in the news about the PCA trade show. I don't know if you heard anything about that, but
no, I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. I gotta say, my absolute favorite response to all of that was Lido's letter. And Matt and I are super excited that you guys are gonna, stand behind the PCA, that you're gonna be a part of it, part of the show, and you guys are coming out. What can you say about your support of the PCA and what that looked like?
So to reference the letter Lido wrote, I think he put it really well, and it was really it was eloquently and tastefully put.
Yep.
Sometimes you see a lot of infighting in the industry going on right now publicly. Some people are involved in it. Some of it's joking around, whatever. But it's a really temperamental time in the cigar industry, and the fact that you have social media and these different areas, you get to see people's opinions and views. And I've had a lot of conversations about it. So I thought the way that Lido wrote that letter was very tasteful. It'd be really easy to come out and say, "Oh, PCA sucks," or "This group sucks," or "This sucks," or "This is crazy," or "This and that." Yeah, and I don't wrong that by any means. There's some of it's warranted, but I thought it was very tastefully how he put it. And it was, I felt it was the right decision before we even released that letter that Lito had written. We were headed in that direction, because this is a pivotal time in the cigar industry. There's a lot going on. Next week, there's some hearings going on that are important. We're facing a substantial equivalency deadline in May on the 20th, where there could be a lot of changes in what products out there. People are waiting for guidance, but that there is, guidance from the FDA, which is, in my opinion, is already out there. So there's a lot of unique things going on. It's a pivotal time in the industry. So to be tasteful and respectful in that moment was a big thing, and I think it really resonated with the cigar culture in regards to consumers, the retailers, the other manufacturers. It definitely did with me. It's easy for me to say because I work for them, but I mean, it really did hit home. I was with him when he texted them before it went in the letter form. He texted to his wife, Inez, and I. We were sitting there, and he was in the office, and she read it to me after he wrote it. It was just really well done and really well put, and it was truly from the heart. It wasn't about. You could tell he really sat down and took the time not to just be emotional about it, because it's very easy to have emotional responses, and I don't. Sometimes that's great because it lets you vent, but to not be emotional in a moment that was that important, and that unique, where people are releasing information of this and that. Some of it's on a marketing level. You want to show support, but I think all the statements that people released were really heartfelt and said what they felt. And I said, there's things that we agree with some of the people that may have decided, and some of the industry companies that decided to go. There's things there that we agree with, and I think the association has a really unique opportunity now to improve and be aware of what people think needs to be changed.
Yeah.
And it's just a really big opportunity. Like, I try not to get too upset when people say good things or bad things about me. Or about my company that I work for or that I worked for in the past. I really try to take it as criticism. Like I guess I try to take criticism well. So I don't get too worked up when there's somebody says, oh, this was a bad idea or this was that or whatever. I try to take it for what it is and take the message of what's being said rather than how and when it was being said.
Yeah.
But a lot of those things got misconstrued. So I think it was a great moment where people were reacting to something that happened, which, by the way, those 4 companies that decided to leave, that was a thought out, deliberate thing. And it was good for them. That was their decision. People are like, oh, I can't believe they pulled out. They thought about that, and that was the decision that they made. And they provided the information as to why. So if the PCA doesn't take that information and say, wait a minute, this is why these 4 big companies left, if they don't take that and they say, these guys are crazy, which they're not, if they take that approach and say this is nuts, then that's a loss. Like, they've got to take that opportunity to improve and say, hey, these people gave us feedback on the way out. And
Absolutely.
By the way, hopefully we can bring them all back because they're big. It's a big financial side of the industry, and they're great companies. Davidoff's a great company. General Altus are great companies in the industry. They're great for the business. And same thing with Swisher, with the Drew Estate brand. And it'll be weird not having them there, but it was a great moment, and I think that the letter he wrote was great, and I think that the industry's got a really unique opportunity now to improve, especially in regards to the PCA. There's other stuff going on, but the PCA is the specific one here. There's a great chance for that to be an example of how this industry can work together, can take criticism and can take positive things and make things happen, and hopefully the end game for this, for me, if I was in charge, would be how do I bring all these people back together and take what they said, make this better, and take what the support I have of these people here supporting what we're doing to make this a better situation for everyone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because in a situation like this, it's easy to just complain about it, sit back and whine, and finger points and all that other BS. But if the companies who are still going to exhibit at the PCA trade show, and if the PCA is an organization itself, takes what's going on and uses that as a catalyst to go out there and figure out places where maybe there are areas that they're missing it, that they need to do a better job. In the end, hopefully what that will do is is strengthen the industry as a whole. And when that happens, when the industry strengthens as a whole, it strengthens every tooth on the gear. So I think it can only.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you look at anything in life, like react with a loved one, or buying a product, or anything you're doing. When you get feedback, it really is important. And we're in a time with social media. We're in a time in this industry where there's opinions everywhere. There's some opinions are right or wrong. It's everyone has an opinion. Just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you're right. And just because you think you're right doesn't mean you are either. So there's something to get from everybody, and this would be it would be unfortunate with a platform in regards to social media, podcasts, blogs, news articles, the industry associations where everyone's giving opinions.
Yeah.
It would be unfortunate not to take all of those opinions into regard and try to create processes that make things better for the industry. It's such a great opportunity. So, I mean, I've watched so much stuff. I try to have my team watch things, and sometimes I'll get involved in something, or in a conversation, just to try to get some views on, different views, whether it's my view, it agrees with me, or not. Like, I said, the 4 companies that left the PCA, they left and said, this is exactly why we're leaving.
Right.
Mhm.
All right, perfect. But you know what? Those 4 things, not 4 things. Those 4 companies gave us 6 items. I got to get better at those 6 things, whether I think I'm good at it or not, and they shouldn't have left, or if I think they should or shouldn't. If I'm in the association, I'm PCA head, like, oh man, they left. I mean, I wish they hadn't have done that.
Yeah.
But they just gave you all the things that you need to get better at, and
Yeah.
then and you have the opportunity now to improve on it. And if you have too much pride to get better at things because somebody said it, what are we, 10? I'm not going to I'm not going to put the seat down because my mom told me to. No, when people give you information or say something, you need to take it and not take it personal. And
I'm
and
offended
I
right
don't think
now.
the PCA is doing that. And I think the industry really is getting behind this. And I think if this year's PCA makes the adjustment, I think you'll see some of those companies come back. And
Yeah.
and I think that's really what they were looking at doing anyway.
Yeah.
That was what they were trying to achieve.
Yep.
So speaking of the PCA trade show, is for LFD this year, and I'm not going to ask you to give away any specifics. Although if you want to, you can. But is LFD, does LFD have anything new in the works that's going to be released at the trade show, or are you just going to strengthen and expand your core brands?
Well, every year for the last about 9 years, we've released at our trade show the Colorado Oscuros, our limited edition, which is one of the more budget-friendly limited editions in the cigar market. They run from $8 to $9. Our Colorado Oscuros come out each year at our trade show for four different sizes. We do have something in the works for the show this year. Tony's working on something unique for the show. It may be based off of a size or shape or blend or something I might have mentioned earlier in the show. So, if you're listening and paying close attention, I may have given some info on that. But I won't go any deeper into that side of it. But we do have something planned for the show. We want to make something really, really special. This show is a big show. It's a time for these cigar manufacturers to really show and display what they have to offer. And it's the same thing for the companies that aren't there. The companies that aren't coming, it's the time for them to do that on the road as well. The show, the important thing about the show is to not just understand that it's not just about those 4 days. It's about setting up the rest of the year. It's about setting up your business focus. So it's a really interesting time for that too. So this is a very important time because this is going to show the direction of every company.
Yeah.
I think that's there of what they're doing. And the ones that aren't there, it's going to show their direction. What are they going to do? What are they doing at the same time the show's going on? Because in regards to consumers, the consumers, really all the stuff that's going on with the PCA really shouldn't affect the consumer. This is really retailer, manufacturer, and association based. So you're going to see a lot of exciting things coming this summer at the show, and not just from us and not just from the people that are attending. It's just going to be a big spring, a big summer, and a big end of 2020. I think 2020 is an important year There's a lot of positive things going on, and
Yeah.
LFD does have something for the show.
Nice. Awesome. So let's transition into this week's Smokabulary word. And guys, as always, the Smokabulary word is brought to you by AJ Fernandez. Born and raised in Cuba, AJ Fernandez now produces unparalleled premium cigars in Esteli, Nicaragua. The day-to-day operations of Tabacalera AJ Fernandez are managed under the watchful eye of Mr. Fernandez himself in order to ensure superior quality. The AJ Fernandez portfolio of premium cigars provides blend, strength, and flavor profiles to match the preferences of any premium cigar consumer, whether it's New World, Dias de Gloria, San Latano, Enclave, or Bellas Artes. You are sure to be satisfied with a premium cigar from AJ Fernandez. So, guys, this week's Smokabulary word is Cuban sandwich. And I love Cuban sandwiches, but I'm not talking about the sandwich you eat with the roast pork and the ham and Swiss cheese and the pickles and the mustard. The best sandwich in the history of all creation, by the way.
It is a damn good sandwich.
But we're talking about so John, when you say Cuban sandwich cigar, what kind of cigar are we talking about?
We're talking about a mixed fill.
Precisely.
Essentially, we're talking about.
Yeah, so it's
mixed
a
fill
cigar
cigar,
that's
Cuban
got a
sandwich.
mixture of long filler tobacco and short filler tobacco. When they're rolling these premium cigars, they use the chaveta to cut, and shape the tobacco leaves, and there's cutoffs, there's little trimmings, and that all gets scooped up and put into wood bins and set aside, and either at the same factory rolled into Cuban sandwich mixed filler cigars, or sold off to other factories to roll into their mixed filler cigars. So, and honestly, Jonathan, I don't know. Does LFD have any Cuban sandwich cigars in their portfolio?
We do not have any.
Okay,
any
I didn't
mixed
think you
fills.
did.
We used to have a short fill way back in the day. It was called the Fumas.
Okay.
It was like a cheroot. It was a short fill, but we haven't made that for
Okay.
a long time.
Yeah.
And that was part of a bundle program we had. It was called the Label Opaque. It was a brand back in. Thank you. I got a crowd over here. We got a crowd outside. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you. The Label Opaque bundles was a bundle program that we had in the 90s, and the Fumas was part of that. So no, we don't have any Cuban sandwiches, but there's been some good mainstream, premium cigar Cuban sandwiches over the years.
Yeah.
I won't name any specifically because I don't want to screw it up if it was or
Well,
wasn't.
I've got a
some
couple
really good ones.
I've got a couple that I wrote down just for the show here. The Tatuaje Series P is a mixed filler cigar. The Fuente,
I was going to say the Tatuaje Mexican. The original Mexican was a Cuban sandwich, right?
I think the
Mexican
original
experiment?
was. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
The Fuente Curly Head, that's a mixed filler cigar. The JSK Toothpick is a mixed filler cigar, and the Drew Estate, that La Vieja Habana, which is one of the first premium cigars I had forever ago. I mean, I don't even remember how many years ago, but all those blends are mixed filler cigars, and you definitely with Cuban sandwich cigars, you definitely get what you pay for. You can run into some burn, combustion things from time to time, but you can get a lot of really good flavor. And one thing that actually somebody brought up to me was, and I never thought about this, was the fact that sometimes you can get some really cool, interesting flavors from mixed filler cigars, because a lot of times those trimmings will sit in those wood boxes for a long time before they finally are up to bat and get put on the rolling lines. So sometimes you can get some trimmings that have some really good age on them. So you can get some different interesting things going on. So guys out there listening and watching, when you hear the term Cuban sandwich when it comes to cigars, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about mixed filler cigars.
Yeah, I think the important thing too to understand about a Cuban sandwich is they are the most delicious sandwiches in the world. Yes. But in regards to cigars, it's not like smoking a black and mild. Like, I think sometimes people are like, say the word Cuban sandwich to be like insulting. I'll hear it off, and I'm like, oh, that's a mixed fill. Like, no, like this is great tobaccos that are in here, and they're not little ground up tobacco.
Yeah, it's not
leaves.
shavings
I
like
mean,
it's.
they're some of them are an inch long. They're just shorter. It's not
Yeah.
full length leaves. So it's there's definitely a lot of quality stuff in there. And yeah, it's made to be more of a price friendly cigar. But there's some great. You said, like, I always enjoyed that's why a Mexican Experiment, the first one, it was like a super limited thing. That was delicious.
Yeah, I never had the original back in the day, but the re-releases I enjoy. So let's Garrett, let's move into my favorite segment of the week.
Numero de los Muertos.
So, what's the number this week, Garrett?
Do we not have any copy to read, or?
Oh, we do. I'm so sorry. This is so new. I'm still remembering how all this goes. Yeah, and as always, Numero de los Muertos is brought to you by
Oveja Negra Brands. They bring you premium smoking experiences forged from tobacco, time, and talent. Comprised of Black Label Trading Company.
Comprised. Words are hard.
Reading is hard. Teleprompter is broken. Comprised of Black Label Trading Company, Black Work Studio, Dissident, and Emilio, Oveja Negra Brands provides smokers uncompromising blends renowned for their flavor and lasting impression. Oveja Negra, where art and tobacco collide. Join the flock. Visit ovejanegracigars.com to learn more. All right, guys.
I was watching. Oh, hold up. I can't let the vocabulary here go to the wayside. I was watching this comedian online the other day. I can't remember her name. It was on social media. It was like on Instagram, and she was talking about how she's like, why is there not a creative spelling bee? Like, she goes, I can spell museum 10 different ways. You need to enter yourself into the creative spelling bee.
Yes, I do.
I like that.
Absolutely. All right, guys. This week's numbers are in the last 26 years.
Okay.
There have been 256 injuries, and of those, 33 fatalities. And this is worldwide.
How many years?
26.
All right. The last 26 years, 33 people have died from this.
We got to guess what it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
we gotta guess. It's like 20 questions.
So 26 years starting like today back, 26 years?
Yep.
Okay.
Since November of 2019, technically, is when this number was verified.
Okay.
Died in dodgeball accidents.
Love it.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
That's right. No, it is not dodgeball.
Worldwide.
Worldwide.
And how many injured?
256.
256 injured. 33 dead.
And what's interesting is there's a particular country who has all 33 deaths are
This is awful.
are listed and there's details, and there's one country in particular that and this is a bit of a clue. It starts out with an intoxicated individual.
So booze is involved.
Booze is definitely involved.
It can
Did
be.
you ever watch that show, 1,000 Ways to Die, or
Oh
whatever?
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
They had like the best naming for the deaths. Like, this one girl died because she got impaled she was a gymnast and she got impaled, and they called her Mary Lou Rectum.
Oh,
The show's amazing. It was on Spike. Yeah, 1,000 Ways to Die. Does anybody have any guesses on this? So the country, booze was involved.
It is not base jumping. It is not bullfighting. Died in a sauna.
died in a sauna. Chuck
That's
said
really
that's a good guess.
Yeah, no, it is not. So,
Is it a recreational activity?
yes,
Okay. Is it a competitive sport?
No,
Not a competitive sport.
no.
Um,
This is a family setting,
Playing lawn darts.
I was just gonna say that.
dude.
I could
that
sense
it?
it.
Not a no.
Oh,
But I now I really want to look at lawn dart statistics.
by the way, I can tell you, it's definitely not smoking cigars.
Absolutely not.
No.
Is it coronavirus?
A lot more than
Coronavirus is way less than 20.
Way less than that.
divorce.
Way less than that. Divorce.
Divorce?
Travis, what were you?
That number's got to be a ton higher. I've watched way too many Law and Orders for that.
Right?
Is it mountain biking?
That's, by the way, divorce. I don't know. Recreational activity. Who's answering that question?
Yeah. if you're getting divorced for sport, you got a problem.
Yeah.
What's
Man,
what's another
Googling,
clue?
using Google.
Oh, that's a good one. So another clue is This is a fun activity to do with the family.
Whitewater rafting?
Yeah, no.
No.
Fun activity to do with the family.
Is it in the water?
Mm-mm.
It's not in the water. Fun activity to do with the family. Fireworks.
Ooh, that's a good one. No.
I blew an eardrum last year.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm still dealing with that.
Carson six.
Family
No.
activity.
Not trampoline.
Playing cornhole. That's
N-
Chad says playing cornhole.
Love it.
Cornhole.
If you die playing cornhole, you got problems.
Yeah, you're
playing
not doing it
wrong.
right.
By the way, are you sure it's not lawn darts? Because that's really fun to do with the family.
I know. It really is. Picnicking, no.
Is it like a family activity you would do in your yard, or you have to travel
You
somewhere
have to
do
go
it?
to this place.
You have to go to this. Is it one particular place?
Yeah.
Going
Is it in the United
Supermarket.
States?
Well, so it's globally. So there's a lot of these places.
Mountains?
Mm-mm,
Not mountains.
not mountains.
mini golfing.
No.
Um,
You might find that near one of these places.
go-kart tracks?
Nope.
Not go-kart track.
My sales manager said drugs.
Great.
Sorry. He said croquet. I thought he said cocaine.
Travis says pinatas.
Pinatas.
pinata.
No,
Not pinatas.
not pinatas. Not water slides, not bocce ball. Think of so this is a place you'd go to and you'd walk around.
The mall.
Not the
A
mall.
museum.
Not a museum.
Place you'd walk around.
So you take the family and you go, oh, hey, look at that one.
Looking at leaves. Leaf
Mm.
peeping.
Chad. Look at the big brain on Chad.
Is it the zoo?
It is the zoo.
I got to put this up on screen. Chad nails the answer. It's the zoo. So
We should have
wait,
guessed that with
30?
Harambe.
33 people a year?
Yeah, well, 33 people over 26 years. So a little over one person a year in the last 26 years has died at the zoo. And most of them are idiots or drunken idiots who climb into deadly animal cages.
So they're the ones who see the signs that say "Do not enter," "Do not
Do
climb
not
over this
feed,
railing,"
do
"Do
not-
not feed,"
yeah.
and they do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's got to
So-
be alcohol involved.
I've never thought getting wasted at the zoo was even remotely a good idea or a possibility. When I go to the zoo, it's like a family act. Like I don't get wasted at the zoo.
Yeah. Why would you? It just doesn't even make sense to me.
So
But
did it give you a number? Like, was there some number of how many that were involved? Actually, alcohol was involved.
not specifically. So the ones in the UK, all the reports, a lot of the reports would say, so and so was intoxicated and climbed into either the lion cage or the grizzly bear cage, or but of those 33, only one death was from an escaped animal. So 32 people were being idiots and climbing into.
And that's why Harambe's dead.
That's exactly right.
So at Disney World, I was just there last week with my family and my niece. We went on the Harambe safari that they have there at Animal Kingdom.
They do not.
And I was making
Harambe safari.
Yeah, it was called Harambe. Yeah, but it was called Harambe before Harambe.
Oh, it was.
So yeah. So I was on there and I'm making Harambe jokes, and I forgot that like the kids that are in line there were like too young to know what Harambe was. Like,
yeah.
That was a while ago. Now, if you look at it, there was like people around, nobody thought. So my parents didn't know what it was, and then the kids around me. So I was making Harambe jokes, and nobody got it.
Well, and then there was this was maybe 10 years ago now, but unfortunately, there was that kid who got eaten by the crocodile or the alligator at Disney World.
That was awful.
Yeah,
It was awful.
Story.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Way to end the segment on a low note, Matt. Jeez.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
What's wrong with
Does
me?
it usually go this way?
No. I just took it. I took it down a really sad turn.
Yeah, we were.
It started with a family. It was a family-friendly activity.
Yeah, family activity, and Matt just killed puppies right on it live.
Leave it to me to take it down a dark road. Well, that is this week's Numero de los Muertos. So we got a lightning round. Let's bring it back to something fun. So, John, if
I don't know if I'm ready for it.
These are fun. I promise, and no more.
All right, let's do it. Let's get it done.
So, if you could choose, if you could hear the thoughts of one living person for 10 minutes, who would it be and why?
Oh my God! What? That is so hard. This is lightning round.
Yeah.
If I could hear the thoughts of one living being for 10 minutes. Oh, man. Ex-girlfriend, any of them.
Really?
Yeah. Obviously, I didn't understand any of their thoughts.
You're brave. You are. I would not want to hear. Nope. Any of the ex-girlfriends or the wife that I've been married to for almost 22 years. I would not ever. Nope.
I'm all about constructive criticism.
It's the constructive part.
Right.
There's not so much. If they're exes, there's not so much constructive. That's probably why they're exes.
That's tough. I mean, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that's
any living being. Man, that's tough.
Bill Belichick was a guest from another New Englander a couple months ago.
Was that Terrence?
I think it was Terrence.
No, we did. Terrence, we had to reschedule.
Oh, that's
Terrence
right,
is coming up in a few weeks, but it was
that would be an interesting one. That would be cool. But I mean, if you watch, you can see his thoughts. Like if you watch postseason stuff, like he explains things. He's going to write a book, so you get to hear his thoughts. I was going to say like Donald Trump, but we get to hear what he's thinking 24/7.
Yeah,
that would be a cool. But like, yeah.
But that is actually the most popular answer. Is Trump? That's the most popular answer.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't say Trump because it was just all out in the open. So yeah. Constructive criticism.
So
I'd be wrong if I didn't say that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were about to get into a fight, what soundtrack music would come on?
Oh, The Rock's theme song.
The Rock?
His entrance theme. Yeah. Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? Done.
I love it. That's the first time answer for that one. I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
Mm-hmm.
So choose one of the following. You could hit a home run as a starting pitcher. You could score a touchdown as a defensive lineman, or you could score a goal in a hockey game as the goalie.
Touchdown defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a rare answer, but it's also a very rare thing in the game. I mean, defensive backs, that's more common, but a lineman, That's really rare.
Watching them big
Yeah.
boy run. Oh,
It would be. I like baseball. I was never a big baseball player. I was okay at it. And I guess being a starting pitcher hitting the home run would be like kind of like an aha moment. But just the glory of scoring a touchdown
yeah,
is
man.
nuts. I mean, I've scored some touchdowns, and there's very few things that come to that level of excitement. I mean, it's huge, and it's a team game too. So I mean, everyone's psyched the same way you are. And again, home run is same thing too, but that's very individual. Yeah, touchdown.
Nice. So, if you could give one piece of advice to a new cigar consumer, what would it be?
Try a lot of things. Try a lot of cigars.
Yeah.
There's so much great products out there. We're at a time where there's tons. I mean, there's endless. There's no reason to not smoke good cigars.
Yeah.
Even cigars I'll say, I mean, I don't really like that. Like, man, it's honestly, if you're being very honest with yourself, there's just not a lot of bad cigars.
That's true.
We can read ratings and reviews and things like that, but I mean, there's not a lot of bad cigars. So be open-minded and try a lot of things.
Yeah. If you could give one piece of advice, which I know you do all the time, if you could give one piece of advice to brick and mortar cigar retailers, what's the number one piece of advice you give to them? Aside from carry LFD.
I wouldn't say this is advice that I necessarily give them. If it's asked, I would. The business, there's hobbyists in this business. So a piece of advice that I would give to say, let's say somebody new coming in and wants to open up a new cigar retailer, make sure it's run like a business and it's not just a hobby, because a hobby that you like can become really time consuming and draining on you if you don't run it as a business. The best way to enjoy cigars in a retail environment, if you're a retailer, is to have a successfully run business. And it doesn't have to be big. Just make sure your cash flow is right and you're not spending more than you're bringing in. Because that's one thing that I do see when I go into a shop and somebody's struggling. It's not my job to fix their business, but that's one thing I wish I didn't see was where there was decisions being made that takes the passion away because of outside business influences. So that would be a real honest recommendation and a piece of advice that I would give.
So guys, let's move into some notable smokables. So John, each week Garrett and I just mentioned one or two cigars that we've tried over the last 10 days that were interesting to us. It could be something that's been on the market for years. It could be something brand new, just something that was interesting to us. Garrett, get us started.
So my first one is the Short Story.
Oh yeah. Classic.
It's just a classic. I mean, that everything in that flippin' Hemingway line is always, you can always count on it to be
Cameroon, baby.
Oh my gosh, that Cameroon is so good. And
I smoked one this last week too.
Yeah, it's just a great cigar.
One for me was from one of our new sponsor partners was the Black Label Trading Company, and it's actually a blend of theirs that I haven't had in a lot. I want to say at least 5 years, and it's the Royalty. And you know they're sort of also known for really bold, strong cigars, and this one is also it's definitely a medium to full cigar, but it's really got a lot more nuance than some of their more powerful lines. And I smoked that a couple days ago and really just remembered what a cool, interesting blend that is. So John, obviously you smoke a lot of your LFD stuff, but you mentioned you smoked a Hemingway recently. Is there anything else interesting that you've tried over the last couple of weeks that you thought was pretty good?
So I was on vacation last week, and so I did smoke a lot of different stuff. 3 specific. I had a Hemingway. I don't remember exactly what size it was. It was like a Toro, but not quite. So I had that. That was excellent. It was not the Hemingway. It was the what's the other one?
Don Carlos?
I guess, yeah, Don Carlos. Yeah, it must have been Don Carlos. So I had that. I smoked a like a Petit Robusto in the Añejo, Fuente Añejo, which was excellent.
Oh yeah.
And then I smoked probably the one that stood out to me the most was that was just very different than what I usually smoke. I smoke a lot of, obviously I smoke a lot of LFD. I smoke a lot of Padron. I smoke a lot of Davidoff. I smoke a good amount of Christian Aroa's products as well. I really like Corojo.
Yeah.
So I smoked that. I had a nice Corojo last week. But the one that stood out to me the most was the Davidoff Florida selection. I had that. It's got the Florida sun-grown tobacco.
Yep.
So I had 2 of those last week, and those were exceptional. And a really nice
Not
smoke.
had that yet.
So yeah, it was very good. I like it. The size is cool. It's a torpedo. So I really enjoyed that. And that one probably stood out amongst all of them that I had last week.
My last one is just a kind of a shout out also to our friends at Cigar Dojo. They did another one of their special releases with Alec and Bradley Rubin. They did it's called the Uro Doshi. It was for Leap Day. They released it on February 29th, and just got my bundle in the mail and fired one of those up. Obviously, it came right out of the mail, and it was definitely, I shouldn't have smoked it. It was too early to smoke because it was over humidified from being in shipping. But it was.
How do you wait?
I know I couldn't wait, but there's really good flavors in that blend there, and I'm excited to let them sit for a while and kind of see how they how the blend comes together after it's not super moist.
You know what I've been smoking a good amount of lately? I'd say I smoke about 3 cigars a day. So on average, like 90% of what I smoke is LFD, and that's kind of what I've been smoking for the last 10 or 12 years anyway. But I've been smoking a lot of Aganorsa products lately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, it's just like, it seems like everything I pick up from them, I tend to enjoy.
Yeah.
There's just some really nice. I said I don't know the names of them exactly, but I've had a lot of those recently that I've really enjoyed. And I said when I smoke different cigars, I try to smoke things that are very different.
Yeah.
And that you can't get everywhere too. So I try to narrow it down to things that are really unique. So I find instead with Aganorsa that I tend to enjoy most of everything that they're making, whether it's their brand or or other brands that are working with them. So I've been really on that for the last 6 to 7 months.
And my last one is the Skyflower from Warped.
Yeah.
And when I was smoking that cigar, it really kind of dawned on me, and John, you alluded to it earlier in the show, that there are a lot of great cigars out there. And as I'm smoking this cigar, I'm like, gosh, there are just way too many cigars. You go into a humidor and you really can't go wrong.
It's really, you're right. It's really, I mean, this is one of those times that we're living in right now where you almost have to go out of your way. You have to work hard to find a shitty cigar.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, there's so much good product on the market right now.
There really is.
So we live in glorious times. We really do.
Because if people aren't putting out a good product, they're not gonna, fly off the shelves.
Yeah.
And then the brick and mortars can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you're right. It's a good time.
So I tend to have 3 or 4 brands that I smoke other than LFD, but I do try everything else. I will try anything, but I tend to with trying everything, the same recommendation I make to people, like make sure you try a lot of different things. I'll also have your go-tos, because it's really hard to, like you said, there's tons of great stuff. So find the ones you like, make those your regular 4 or 5 different brands, and then try everything else, and always be open to trying what's being maybe promoted in the store or something that's a little different, because it is like 9 times out of 10 you're going to get pretty much a great product. That may not hit your flavor profile, but it's not it's a high quality product.
Yeah.
Right.
So guys, coming up in the next few weeks, I'll give you an idea of what we have. Next week, on the 17th, we're going to talk to Oliver Naveau from United Cigar. So for those of you who don't know about United Cigar, those are brands like Byron and Atabay and some other brands as well. So we're excited to talk to him next week. The week after that, on the 24th, we're going to talk to James Brown from Black Label Trading Company. And then on the 31st, we just mentioned about Aganorsa Leaf. We're going to talk to Terrence Riley from Aganorsa Leaf on the 31st. And then a little sneak preview going into April. We don't have anything on the calendar yet for April 7th, but normally the show would be on Tuesday, April 14th. But that is my wife's birthday, and I love her, and I want to stay married. So we're not going to have a show on April 14th, but we are going to have a show the night before. So on a special night, on a special Monday night, we're going to have the one and only Cigar Coop. William Cooper is going to be live on the show with us, and we're very excited to talk to him. So that is an idea, guys, of some of the stuff we have coming up in the next few weeks. John, give everybody kind of a final idea on where they can find out more about LFD Cigars and how they can learn about the brand.
So I have a question for you guys. What do you think about the cigar you're smoking? How are you enjoying it?
It's very good. And like you said, it's not that there are a lot of those Andalusian Bull qualities to it. It's not that super thick, heavy powerhouse.
Yep.
But there's a lot of nuance to it. The smoke production's phenomenal. There's a lot of smoke on every draw. So I'm a fan, definitely.
Absolutely. It, Matt hit it right away. There was a lot of sweetness that came through at the beginning, and now it's just it goes from a smooth, light, almost cigar because of the size, but then just flavors, just so many great flavors. So outstanding. Good job, guys.
Yeah, I really enjoy it too because it's right in my wheelhouse. I fall in that category of more of a medium-bodied smoker.
Yep.
So I don't smoke a ton of our full-bodied blends. I do smoke them because I have to. I have to know what's going on. I love Double Ligero. I love the way it tastes. For me, it's a little strong, but the flavor profiles are awesome. So if I'm sitting down after a big meal, I will light up a 700, a Digger, a Chisel. For me, the 25th anniversary was that. I love the Andalusian Bull. The size is not my preferred size. It's just a lot of cigar for me. But I do like a lot of cigar. But I like Churchill's, which is kind of the size of the 25th. Is a little bit bigger. Than a traditional Churchill in terms of girth, and ring gauge. So for me, it's perfect. So I really enjoy the 25th, and it's a good thing because it's honest, but it's a limited edition. When it's done, it's done.
Yeah,
and we're gonna make what we're gonna make, and when it's over, it's over. So it's a truly special cigar in the blend and then the concept behind it. But if people are looking for more information on LFD, obviously we have a very big social media exposure with LFD Cigars on Instagram, Twitter, La Flor Dominicana on Facebook. There's also a La Flor Dominicana Club, which is run by consumers, which I've been a little more active in recently because apparently the Facebook algorithm has changed, and I now see it. I've been in it, but I just started answering more questions and things. So if anyone wants Facebook, the La Flor Dominicana Club is a great place to go to. LFD Cigars on Instagram and Twitter. I'm LFD Carney on Instagram if you like cigars, food, and travel, and occasionally pictures of random things. That's where to find my following. And then we do a lot of events around the country. I do a lot of cooking events. I'm going to be doing I'm going to be turning a cigar shop in New Hampshire into a steakhouse in May.
Wow.
So that should be pretty fun. We got another one of those planned for Texas later in the year. So there's a lot of fun things we've got going on, and obviously LFDcigars.com is a place to find that, but social media tends to be the most popular. That's where we're at. We'll see. We see everybody on the road. Invite people to come on and have a cigar. If you're watching the show and saw me on here, come on up like you know me and introduce yourself. I'd be happy to share a smoke with you. He said, find us on the road. Find any of my team on the road. And you can find us in the intranets through social media.
So, guys, if you're watching and listening too, we want to let you know that John was nice enough to send in some really cool swag. So we're going to give away to 2 lucky winners. We've got hats and T-shirts for 2 lucky winners. So we're going to randomly choose some people who leave comments. We're going to give a few more days because obviously you can still watch this after the live broadcast and you can still leave comments after the live broadcast. So we'll give a few more days to give more people a chance to enter that giveaway. And I will randomly choose some winners over the next couple days for a lovely LFD hat and T-shirt.
And let's throw one more thing in there.
Yeah.
let's throw in. You guys just shoot me whoever wins it, and we'll get it sent up to them. I'm going to throw in one of our elusive Andalusian Bowl ashtrays.
Oh,
They're
nice.
not available anymore, and I will throw. But I have one of my private stash that we can throw in there. So if anybody wants to get on that, make sure you enter in. We'll be giving away. We'll give away one of our Andalusian Bowl ashtrays too.
Nice.
Awesome.
We appreciate that. And so, guys, be sure to enter because that's a really killer prize. So thank you guys so much, as always, for watching and listening. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can leave them right here on this video. You can also email us directly at the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. And until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
Not bridges.
Take care, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.